This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and I've been late to see a movie this week because I was out of town. Did see part of the Oscars and then reviewed it, then saw the highlights and did a review of that. I've now seen How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World. Yeah, it's cool. So it's good. The trailers for the movie included A Dog's Journey and Secret Life of Pets 2. And I figured out that the Dog's Journey song, like in the first one, it's the song playing in the background, not what's going on with the dog, like going through different lives, which is a cat, not a dog. But okay, so the author says, it's a dog, it keeps getting reincarnated. That's a cat. There apparently is a cat one, but yes. Anyway, so on with other kinds of cats. We have cat dragons, like Abra and Kadabra, cat dragons. I think this series has gone on at least 20 years. Train Your Dragons, it's the 90s. I think it's late, I would say, yeah, late 90s, early 2000s. There was a TV show that took place like 10 years earlier. There's the cartoon. It was a cartoon. There have been 3 of these movies now. It takes about 3 or 4 or 5 years to make one. This is the penultimate, not penultimate, the ultimate or final chapter. Spoilers. Yeah, it just came out a couple days ago. There will be probably some minor plot spoilers in the review just because, well, otherwise you don't know what's going on. But you can tell from the trailer what's going on. Although, curiously, some of the audio in the trailer was switched around. And most notably, the bring a baby to a battle scene was actually spouted off by one of the bad guys. And he said, I couldn't find a sitter. But the couldn't find a sitter line is actually earlier when Hiccup tells the hero guy, I think it's Snot-Nose or whatever, he tells him, why'd you bring a baby? And he says, and to raid in the earlier take. So he's all like, oh, the earlier, I couldn't find a sitter. That's in that other scene with the raid. So there's like 2 raids going on. The movie opens with a raid on dragon poachers. So it's a metaphor. The whole series has been a metaphor for whaling and other kinds of seal poaching and all that. It's been a metaphor. Yes. This one does use cameos by the guy who played the father in the first one and second one and died, using with flashbacks to the notion of this hidden world that's out there, and that the enemy, the edge of the world, the hidden world. So it's like a big waterfall sinkhole with as if the earth has hollow parts. Many ancient cultures thought that, based on, I guess, they see cave systems and thought, oh, that totally goes to the center of the earth. No, it doesn't. It doesn't go that far down. There are cave systems, but they don't go to the center of the earth. If you tried to dig down over a mile, you would be very, very warm and toasty. 7 miles, you'd be kind of on fire. Yeah, from all the pressure and heat. Don't do that. But yeah, it's a cartoon. Anyway, the Vikings, one of them suggests the earth is round. The stars are the sun is a big star, and the little stars are just wussy smaller ones further away. There's a lot of odd jokes that in here that the earth is round, but the joke is on those flat earth people. Which is pervaded through the internet, because people on the internet will believe mostly anything, including all the Captain Marvel issue stuff. Anyway, this is a DreamWorks picture, and DreamWorks is now a Comcast company. It's no longer SKG. The Universal put this out. I guess it's a better idea than having them do a Dark Universe from last year, or the year before. That mummy thing, it just didn't work, because they didn't do it right. If you want to do a mummy movie, you have to make it, the build-up, suspenseful. It's not supposed to be action. It's a mummy movie. It's a lumbering zombie corpse coming at you. It's not supposed to be action. didn't do that right at all. Then they made it end like Suicide Squad with a witch chick that basically takes the city or whatever. Same ending. So yeah, that what didn't happen in this case. Instead, we have a male evil dragon hunter in this one. In this, this has nothing to do with the Mummy. I was ranting about the Mummy. There's a dragon hunter who is the guy that the father fought years ago, I guess. I don't know if he's connected to the show or not. I don't think this series is connected to the show. He lures them by sending out his Bright Fury, who he's captured. The Bright Fury is a female, so it falls in love with Toothless, the Night Fury, and he's a Night Fury killer, so he sends a girl on out. He keeps getting him into trouble. At one point, Toothless takes off to be with her. They go to the Hidden World they're looking for. They're hiding on an island. At one point, they have to abandon Berg, go to an island because the poachers are chasing them. It doesn't occur to them that they would just simply follow them. If they were flying, they weren't flying that fast. But yeah, there was a funny scene in which they go to the poacher's ship. They send an army over there, and they leave. What's her name? I don't know all the characters. The annoying girl behind. Accident, and they have to go rescue her. And that's how Hiccup and his girlfriend go to the Hidden World and find the two dragons there instead of going after her. The annoying girl is on the ship. They don't end up finding the fleet. They end up finding the dragon and then going back. This fleet is out there with cages for all the dragons. It's in the trailer, and the bad guy drugs them. He's rather chewing scenery chewing bad guy. Somebody famous, and you have you have the annoying girls swinging around, a la Suicide Squad in the prison jail. So they clearly were inspired by that scene with Harley Quinn in the prison, and they copied it. So that's why I mentioned that as well. And there's a little bit of the Mummy in there. But yeah, so there were scenes that were kind of cribbed from other movies, but that's okay. Yeah, so kitty cat. So yeah, here I have one of my dragon kitties, Kadabra. Here's a kitty. Abra looks more like Toothless though. This is Kadabra. Yeah, Kadabra. Anyway, so the cat. The kitties like the Tame Your Dragon movies. So she didn't get to see the third one yet. Got on DVD or I guess or Blu-ray. Watch it in theaters in 3D. I did. It's cooler. I can't see 3D too well, but it was all right. Yeah. So. But yeah, see it on a big IMAX screen thing. That's the way to see it. You can see them flying around. Yeah, so the annoying girl scene, or the bad guy essentially, like, gives up and says, no, leave, just get out of here. I don't want you around. And then she goes back to the island where, of course, they're tracking her, because why would they let her go? But the joke is that she's so annoying that they let her go. Which is... there's your Kal Kat moment, but that's also from that movie years ago, Suicide Squad. So it's not really a Kal Kat moment. It's really a Zack Snyder moment in a movie that's not directed by him at all. A little bit of a Michael Bay moment thrown in there. There's a sort of kinky May December thing where the other character wants to be number one. I think it's Jonah Hill's character, so that he can, I guess, hang out with the queen lady who's in it, but not really acting as the queen or something, even though she technically would be. The queen lady. And he's playing her along, and she's playing him along, and even though, well, I guess he likes it that way. Maybe she's into that younger men thing, cougar Or is it Kate Blanchett? I think is playing her. Yeah, so there are a couple of main stars in here, and well, guess if it works for the Orville for a while there, it works for this too. Anyway, but that was on the holodeck. It was different. So yeah, yeah. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Where is Abra anyway? So yeah, it's fine. Of course, when they do dispatch the bad guy at one point after he like lures them and traps them, and I thought for sure the bad guy would like climb back up the cliff and threaten them again, but no. Yeah, spoilers. And then they jump a few years in the future when everything is all good. Anyway, so and Berg as in town. Yeah, Berg. Yeah, town. This is towns. Isn't that a noble name for the Viking? Oh, town, village, Berg. Anyway, yeah. So the character interaction in this animated feature, the subplot was a Hiccup gonna be married to the Elga, the blonde girl from the other two, or not. I won't spoil that. I won't spoil that. So, and does the Night Fury and the Day Fury, do they get together? I won't spoil that either. Yeah, but here we have assuming that there actually weren't any plot errors. Actually, when you might think there was one where there was where they're on an island and they do something with the dragons that makes them leave. How are they going to get off the island? Well, they've fought this fleet and they only burned one ship. So they should have all the other ships they could go to and just take those. And I'm assuming that's what they did. So that works. That's not a plot hole. We'll just assume that's what they must have done and rebuilt the ships. Yeah, just took the other, like, the fleet. They had a fleet. So yeah, they captured it. As Vikings would do. Some of them had horn helmets they shouldn't have, but it's a cartoon. Some of them were, but they played around with that. And also, they were actually, certain Vikings were actually very sanitary for their time period. They weren't grubby. So they reference that when one of the little critters goes to them, that they are very cleanly. Vikings were later, as Vikings, were set into the Norsemen of Normandy, which later the Franks took over. They became the Germanic tribes and came back as the Francos. They took Rome at one point. Some of them were the Rus, and they went up and they formed what's Russia. So, and some of them went to North America, but not in the same way that the conspiracy theorists think. It was in colonial times. It was not earlier than that. There were some earlier groups by Leif Erikson, but they died out or intermarried. Yeah, they did. The Kensington runestone is fake. It was put there by the Clares and the other group that were there to drum up tourists to the later Duluth Museum in the 1800s. So yeah, all that, yeah. And yes, Viking settlers did settle in the Minnesota area and the lakes area, but that was during colonial times. So anyway, but not in this movie. This movie has nothing to do with that. I guess these Vikings were probably hop skipping the Norway area over to the islands off the edge of. I'm not sure exactly, but it wouldn't quite be Iceland and Greenland that they went to. Not quite. But yeah, probably Iceland, right? Nova Scotia. They didn't make it all the way to Nova Scotia. So the sinkhole thing would have been somewhere along that route, west, in the movie. Yeah, so it's a cartoon. But yeah. So there's my review of Train Your Dragon 3. Yeah, it's good. It's a really good movie. I would give it 4 stars. It's 87% probably, somewhere around there, of the... Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Well, movie, watch it in theaters. It's more exciting that way. And actually the characters and character development were actually really good. So, cool. All these movies seem to do well. It takes them a while to make one. And I'm presuming that this is the last one. Unless it makes a lot of money. Of course, this was an early show, 4 days out. And it looks like I was the one of 3 in the theater. It was an early show, though. But during the week, I'm assuming that based on that it isn't making enough money to make a sequel. So, but yeah, it was actually good. Unlike some of those Oscar contenders from the Oscars recently that didn't really deserve to be nominated at all, like Roma and The Favorite. Why were they nominated? And then there was a funny review on this channel, a guy reviewing the movies, and he goes like, well, the reason that this one won is this Roma movie is because it's really depressing. Like, well, that's probably why I didn't want to watch it. But no, it never came out here. And Green Book was also really depressing from what I hear. I didn't want to see that either. I didn't want to see, and that should not have won Best Picture. Come on, Oscars, really? That over Black Panther? That over A Star Is Born, which also had a depression theme in it. But A Star Is Born, as a crowd-pleasing movie, would have been a better choice. I would have said, that's fine. The Star Is Born sequel wins again. But they didn't give that one to that one. Or Black Panther, which was a crowd-pleasing crowd movie. They weren't about to actually give an Oscar to a fantasy movie. It has happened in the past, though. E.T., Close Encounters, 2001: A Space Odyssey. These movies got Oscars back in the day. Star Wars and Star Trek: The Motion Picture also got something back then. And Star Trek 2009, I believe, got an Oscar for makeup or something. Yeah, they always give it to makeup. In this case, actually, makeup should have been Black Panther for Oscar, because that Killmonger suit partly was actual makeup. It was way cooler than Vice Cheney movie with shaving his head and making him look fat, like the guy from Batman, the Chris Nolan guy. It's like, why was this movie nominated for an Oscar for makeup? That's weird. It's really weird. Musical score, the Lady Gaga movie. At least one of those songs won. And sound editing for Panther. Well, it got something. It got sound editing. I think that's what Star Trek: The Motion Picture got. I'm going to check that out. I think it was music. Yeah, it didn't win Best Picture. What Star Trek: The Motion Picture got, like, musical score or something like that. Yeah, but it got an Oscar. Star Wars, I think, was a score as well. I think. Special effects and score. But the thing about the 1977 Star Wars movie is that it aired. That was back when movies would play in theaters until they stopped playing in theaters. Like, that movie was in theaters for almost a year. It was a phenomenon. They just watched it over and over and over and over again. And also back then, they used to replay the old Disney classic movies on the weekends as well at the big Century 21 theaters in our area. Probably elsewhere as well. And they would replay, Pinocchio and Dumbo. And there's a new Dumbo movie coming out. I don't know about that. And because it's Tim Burton, I just don't. I don't know. But yeah, Captain Marvel is going to be good, despite the hype. It's going to be good. So, but I don't know about Dumbo, and I really don't know about Aladdin. That Aladdin remake. Why? Why Will Smith? Why did they get him? Why? I mean, he's got the charisma, but he doesn't have quite the chutzpah that Robin Williams did. I would say there was a couple of other good choices out there. The dude from SNL that probably would have done it better, or Cedric the Entertainer would have done it better. That would have been funny, but no, they didn't ask me. Maybe they didn't want to have it be that like standoffish. They didn't want although in the original the genie is Robin Williams, and he's acting crazy and insane the whole time. So yeah, that would totally work. Louis C.K. That would get Louis C.K. But yeah, yeah. So there's my little movie rant. The Train Your Dragon series. Of course, there is Rule 34 of it. You don't want to look that up. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, it was fine. It was yeah. I was out of town. Other film production thing. For the other channel, On Location Cat.